my kitchen again this morning to get started with another sew with me video. Today I'm going to be sewing kind of loungewear and pajamas. So I have a few projects that I would like to get cut out and we'll see how far I get today, but I thought I would start with sharing what my plans are, at least as a starting point, but sometimes my plans shift as I go along. So I'm going to take you through the fabrics that I'm going to be cutting out today, and for the fabrics that I already know which pattern I'm going to use, I'll let you know what that will be. We have a fresh dusting of snow here in northern Sweden this morning, and today is December 1st. So I'm trying to get some of these projects started, at least to get them rolling and potentially finished in time for Christmas. Almost all the fabric in today's video has been sponsored by Minerva. Minerva is an online fabric store that sells fabrics and patterns and notions, and they ship all around the world. So I'm part of their brand ambassador program where they send me fabrics in the mail and I write blog posts for them. So I don't have any obligation to share in this way, but I am using their fabrics for these projects today. You can find information about how to get a discount in the description below if you want to check out any of their fabrics. I also have my Minerva profile linked below where you can just get more of those detailed information about the sewing projects that I do using their fabrics. I post pictures and long description of the projects and the fabrics and what I thought about them over on Minerva. So let's jump right in with the fabrics that I have here and what I'm planning on sewing. First up, we have a cotton chambray fabric. This is a, I think, 5/8 inch wide check gingham, and I think I have about 2 or 2.5 meters of this. I can't quite remember, but I think it's enough to make a pair of pajama bottoms, and I'm considering making a pair either for my husband Thomas or for my father-in-law, and the pattern that I'll probably use for those will be this Simplicity 8519. I've made these pajama pants before for my dad, but I think this is from a size extra small to extra large, and I think I should be able to make a pair of pants for whoever I decide to use that fabric for. I also have some cotton jersey, which is my preferred pajama fabric. This jersey fabric that I have here is the Minerva Core Range cotton jersey. It's 95% cotton and 5% elastic. Besides the merino jersey fabric that I shared in a recent video that I'll link here, this is my second favorite type of fabric to work with and to wear. Cotton jersey is just such a staple for both myself and all my girls, and even for Thomas. I make some clothes for him as well. So I have about 4 meters here of this purple, light purple, which is called soft lilac cotton jersey, and for that I'm planning on making myself a pair of long pants, pajamas, and probably a short sleeve shirt, but maybe a long sleeve shirt. I have made the Hudson pants from True Bias several times as pajama pants, but I think I want to change that up a little bit because I'm not 100% happy with the fit of those pants, and I've made some modifications like lengthening the crotch seam on that because I find that many people also in like Instagram pictures of those, this sounds weird, but you can tell that the pattern was drafted with maybe too short of a crotch length, because what that means is that you get a camel toe, and a lot of people have camel toes with Hudson pants, I've noticed, and it has happened for me as well when I made this pattern before. So I'm thinking that I might change up the pattern for the bottoms, and I'm considering using the I Am Mowgli pants pattern. I Am Mowgli is from I Am Patterns, which is a French pattern company, and I have that pattern cut out right here, or it's not cut out, it's printed out. It's ready for me to tape it together and trace off my size. It's more meant for a sweatshirting fabric or French terry. I'll get into that in a minute too, but I think that it might be nice also in just a jersey. I like the fact that it is a relaxed fit. There's a couple of different views or options of the type of finished garment you can have. So there's a shorts version, there is a tapered leg, there's a elasticated ankle option as well, and I actually bought the pattern for that with both the men's and women's sizes in it, so more on that in a minute. I also have this same composition cotton jersey, which is 95% cotton, 5% elastic or lycra, and also 4 meters of this. I'm not 100% sure on the color of this fabric. Originally I thought it might be a little bit more orangey and deeper in color, so I was thinking about using it to make a long sleeve autumnal dress for myself, but I don't see myself wearing this color all over my body. Like I feel I get a little bit of like naked vibes feeling if I had that. So I think that this could make really cozy pajamas, and I'm considering making a similar bottom half, so maybe using the I Am Mowgli pants pattern, or I also have some patterns from Lowland Kids. I have the Lowland Kids Sleepy Pants, which I might do. That's a really simple pattern that's just, I think, 2 pattern pieces. Like it might be a front and back leg, because I think there's a side seam so that you could have pockets as well, but it's a really simple construction and I could go with that. That one also has quite a tapered leg, and I don't always love pajamas that are tight on my calf, which is also one of the reasons that I'm not loving the Hudson pants for pajamas. My pair of pajama pants that I do have and wear all the time are the Hudson pants, and I like the one version that I have that is in a cotton jersey, but it has a ribbed bottom hem, and that makes it wearable. Without the ribbed bottom hem, if you just use the cotton jersey as the bottom hem, it's not stretchy enough, and I'm not really able to get my foot through comfortably. So that's another reason why I'm leaning towards a different pattern for the pants version. But I did make the Lowland Kids Sleepy Pants for my mother-in-law for a set that a bamboo jersey pajama set that I made for her. I'll post a few pictures here recently, and I made one size up than what I would make for myself, but they still were quite comfortable, so I could go with that option. And then for the top of this, the top half of this fabric, or the top half of the pajamas, I guess, I'm considering doing the Lowland Kids Baggy V, which is I think it has an option for a short sleeve maybe and long sleeve shirt, maybe just short sleeved, but it's an oversized v-neck t-shirt that has a drop shoulder, and I think it would be comfortable for pajamas. It's not something that I would probably wear day to day, but trying it out for pajamas is also a good test to see if in the future I might want to have this as a regular t-shirt. That's a free pattern from Lowland Kids, and I have that one printed, traced off in my size, and ready to go, so why not? Maybe we'll go with that. I would also like to make myself a pair of woven pajama bottoms. Even though jersey pajamas are my favorite when it comes to everyday pajamas, there is something nice, especially in the winter, there's something nice about having a cozy pair of flannel pajama bottoms just to wear around the house in the morning also. And the pair of flannel pajama bottoms that I've had since I was 15, I think, 20 years, are really threadbare now. We live in a part of the country, or I don't know, our water is really hard here, and unfortunately that means that our clothes get worn out a lot quicker here than they do in other places, because there's just so much mineral content in the water, and you can actually see your clothes just kind of disintegrating, which is a little bit depressing, especially since I spend so much time and effort making clothes, but it just is, it is what it is. So these pajama pants that I've had for literally 20 years, in the 2 or almost 3 years that we've lived here, have just sort of disintegrated. So now there's just too many holes for them to be okay to wear anymore, and they're a bit on the small side. So I think it would be really nice to make another pair of woven pajama bottoms in this flannel. This is fabric that I purchased myself. This is a Bonnie Christine fabric design, and I don't know, let's see, it's Art Gallery Fabrics, 100% cotton. It's a flannel. This one is called Bluebells and Buttercups, and the colorway is Dusk. I've made this into pajama bottoms and actually a full pajama set for my mom in the darker color, which is like greens, and those turned out really nice. I used the Carolyn pajama pattern for those, so I think I would use the Carolyn pajama pattern again for myself, but I would skip the piping option because even though it is a nice touch, sometimes I think it's just nice to have a simple pair, and it's more likely that they'll get sewn up quickly. So those will be for myself. And then we have 3 more fabrics that are a little bit different, and those are also from Minerva. By a little bit different, I just mean that it's not my typical fabric to sew with. I have worked with sweatshirt fabric in the past, but not lately. As I said, our water is really hard and it makes our clothes wear out quickly. So some basics that we've had for years are just really starting to disintegrate. Exhibit A, Thomas's sweatpants. Holes in the bottom, holes in the crotch here. The inner waistband is all holy, and like that happens with clothes over time, of course, but it's just like it has been so accelerated with where we live now. So this is an old pair of Hollister sweatpants, and these have a really nice kind of relaxed straight leg to them, and I think they fit him really nicely. So I'm going to be using the I Am Mowgli pattern, but also measuring and looking at these pants to kind of compare them, and just like using the I Am Mowgli as my base pattern, but like also just seeing, is this the right length, and comparing lengths to this pair that I know fit him nicely, and planning on making a pair of sweatpant bottoms for Thomas in this sweatshirting fabric. And this is the Minerva Core Range Poly Cotton Fleece Back Sweatshirt Stretch Knit fabric, and this is the color Steel Blue. This is a 70% cotton fabric, 30% polyester. Usually I don't like to use polyester fabric for a lot of reasons. It's not the most environmentally friendly option. It's also sometimes sweaty. Like if you have jersey fabric in polyester, it's not breathable. It makes you sweat. It's stinky also, I find. But all of that said, I have found that the polyester in a loungewear, like in a sweatshirting, can be a really good component to help retain the shape of the garment, and it is really soft. So this one, for example, on these red pants is 70% cotton, 30% polyester. So I'm guessing it's a really similar, I mean, it is the same fabric composition, and I'm guessing it's a really similar fabric just to begin with. These have held up really nicely. They haven't pilled. That can be another problem with polyester, is that often it pills a lot. So I'm gonna go with it try it out. I have enough here to make a pair of bottoms, sweatpants, and a sweatshirt. So I have the Tom sweatshirt from Vicky Sews, and I have modified that in the past to make a quarter zip option for Thomas. So I'm going to talk to him again and see if he wants, just to confirm, if he wants a quarter zip or if he wants a crew neck. So we will cross that bridge when we get there. But I will also be, making him a full set in that. For myself, I have the same fabric, a little bit less of it, in the color warm green. And this is a really nice kind of khaki green color. I think that it goes well with my eyes and my hair color and just my coloring in general. I didn't show you the back of the other one, but this has this really nice, really soft, fuzzy fleece back. And all of these fabrics actually have been washed and dried in my washing machine and dryer, as I will launder them when they are finished garments. That's always the safest option, because then you don't run into a laundry disaster the first time you go to wash something, that it shrinks or gets really out of shape or something like that. So this is the fabric I'm going to use for myself. I will also be making a sweatshirt and bottom pair for myself, and I'm going to use the I Am Mowgli bottoms. And I mean, I Am Mowgli is only pants, but I think I'm going to use the tapered leg without the elastic at the bottom for the sweatshirting fabric. And I'm going to pair that probably with the I Am Rainbow sweatshirt. And I have made that sweatshirt pattern in the past. I haven't yet decided if I'm going to go with a crew neck or a zipped option. I have there's so many options for that pattern. I probably won't go with a hooded option, just because I find a hoodie to be less wearable. And yeah, I have a few zipper sweatshirts now, so I'm not sure that I'll go with a zipper option either. I'll probably go with a basic crew sweatshirt, and I think that will be really nice because I also have the matching tubular ribbing for both of these fabrics. So this is the tubular ribbing in the steel blue. Tubular ribbing means that the ribbing is in a tube, so it's round rather than being a flat piece of fabric. So we have the steel blue tubular ribbing that matches, and the warm green that also matches. And then the last bit of tubular ribbing I have is this purple. And this purple is called dark purple, and it matches pretty closely to this purple sweatshirting fabric that I got, but it's a little bit darker. So these ones aren't a perfect match like the other ones are. This color is called dark purple, and it's the Minerva Core Range Heavy Furback Sweatshirt Stretch Knit fabric. And this is 67% cotton, 30% polyester, and 3% elastane. So it's a little bit of a different composition, and I think that will be an interesting test to see how this one wears compared to the other two. And the texture on the back of this one is a little bit different. So it's a little bit more fur-like, if that makes any sense, instead of just fuzzy all over in a fleece way. It's, yeah, I don't really know how to describe that other than it's a little bit more like faux fur-esque. But it's really soft and nice. And for this fabric, I'm planning on making the Lowland Kids hoodie pattern, which is also a free pattern from Lowland Kids. I have that one already cut out in the size 6 to 7 years that I need to make for Eloise. And I'm going to be making her a hooded version that it has a nice little overlapping hood front part, which I think, maybe it's all in my head, but I think it makes it a little bit more comfortable for them to put on. I've made this pattern a couple of other times and it's always been well received. I've made it as gifts and for my own girls. So I went through some pictures with her of this pattern, and we've decided that she's gonna have a hood with no front pocket, and it's gonna be a little bit longer so that it covers like the back of her jeans, like the back pocket. So we'll go just over her bottom, and yeah, long sleeves with the matching cuff fabric. So those are the plans for today. A little bit ambitious, but I have cleared off the kitchen table, and my plan is to just get down to cutting out the fabric as soon as I can. I'm going to start out though with tracing or taping together this PDF, which is not my favorite thing to do, but it's got to be done, and tracing off my size for this. I don't have the men's Mowgli pants printed out yet, but I don't think I have enough printer paper either, so we'll have to see. That one might have to wait. But let's just get going, tracing out and cutting out some fabric. See how far we get today. My pattern pieces are mostly cut out. I have not traced off my size yet because now I'm going to pick what size I'm going to do. And I'm looking at the pattern here. It's interesting, this is a French and English pattern, and the English instructions have measurements in inches and the French instructions have measurements in centimeters. So I prefer to read English instructions with metric measurements, but I'm going with the English instructions, so we'll go with inches. So I'm just gonna do an updated body measurement for myself so that I can pick what size. For the I Am Mowgli pants, it says to pick your size based on your widest measurement. So for me, that's going to be my hips. So I got my measuring tape here, and we'll just do a quick measure. So my body measurements were 35¼ inches at the hip and 27 inches at the waist. So for the hip measurement, that puts me in between the size 36 and 38. And for the waist, it puts me in around size 40. So I think I'm going to go for the size 38. Yeah, which the hip measurement says 36¼ inches. The finish measurements on that waist size of the hip says 39 3/8. I think that will be comfortable. What I've also decided to do is that I'm going to go ahead and make kind of a toile version of this using this fabric that's not my favorite color. So my plan is I'll trace out the size 38 for myself, and I'll cut out only this fabric and sew this version up kind of quickly. I might exclude like the back pockets, for example, just to make it go a little bit faster so that I can get an overview of any changes that I might need to make for my final versions, which will be like in this lilac fabric and then also in the sweatshirting fabric. One other thing that I will think about while I'm tracing out the pattern, it says that this pattern is drafted for a height of 5 feet 5 inches. I'm 5 feet 6 inches, so I think I'll start out directly with lengthening the pattern, lengthening the leg 1 inch directly while I'm tracing out now, so that it's more likely going to be the correct length for me right off the bat. I went ahead and cut out the gold honey jersey that I have, and I have a little bit of a controversial sewing practice, 2 controversial sewing practices that I stand by completely, that I'll share with you. The first is that I use my rotary cutter to cut out paper. I know. Typically, like, I will say I have a pair of scissors that I use only for fabric, like absolutely nothing else, only fabric. And then I have my paper scissors. Those, there's no compromising on at all. The rotary cutter, I can change the blade really easily. I have a lot of blades that I can change to, and I do a lot of cutting out with the rotary cutter, which means that the blade does dull, and maybe it dulls a little faster because I cut paper out too, but cutting my patterns out with the rotary cutter, like cutting the traced sizes on paper out with the rotary cutter, saves me a lot of time, and it's a more enjoyable experience because I can just shoop, shoop, cut them out, and then I go over to my ironing board and iron out those pattern pieces flat, and it's just much nicer than dealing with this rolling paper and trying to cut and it gets all crumbly. And so that's controversial sewing thing number 1 that or sewing rule that I break. The other thing is, when I'm cutting out jersey, I'm gonna say this is only for jersey pretty much, I don't always iron the fabric beforehand. Now, if I'm gonna cut out something like jeans or a blouse or something with like a crisp cotton poplin fabric or something like that, I'm always gonna iron the fabric beforehand. The reason being because with woven fabrics, a lot of times it's a little bit, you have to be a little bit more precise. When you're sewing with jersey, there is a little bit of wiggle room for stretching a seam here and there, just a little bit, to make two seams line up if they weren't cut out exactly the same length. I find that sewing with woven fabrics is a little bit more unforgiving in that way. Like, you do have to be more precise, and it requires a lot of pressing during the sewing process itself. So I always have my iron out and I'm doing pressing those seams, and because I do that, I always iron the woven fabric from the beginning. If you saw while I was cutting out this jersey fabric though, the fabric wasn't ironed, and I would say that this is a little bit of my controversial sewing tip. I don't iron my finished jersey garments when I'm going to wear them. Like, they go in the washing machine, they go in the dryer, I shake them out, fold them, put them in my closet, take them out of my closet and put them on. I don't iron them. Maybe like the first time that I wear them, I iron them. Like if I'm taking a picture of my finished project, sure, I'll put an iron to it. But in general, I am not ironing my garments that are made out of jersey. So for me, it also makes sense then to not iron the fabric before I cut out the project. Now, like, I'll take this with a grain of salt, because if your fabric is like super wrinkly or you can't get it to lie relatively flat, because sometimes when you fold jersey fabric, like the folding of the fabric itself can actually like stretch out parts of it, so you get like a wobbly fabric when you unfold it, and like you don't want that. But if you are confident that you can lay out your fabric on a nice flat surface like a big table and get it, you know, lying pretty flat, and also that you feel that you can get the grain line lined up well, so that the fabric, if you're cutting it on the fold, is parallel to the grain line, which is really important, so that your pieces don't come out skewed when you're wearing them. If you're confident that you can do those things, I think it's okay to not iron jersey fabric before you sew with it, or before you cut it out. It kind of goes with the idea too that like you should treat your fabric for your garment as you will treat your final product, just as with knitting too. Like, this is why when you're washing a swatch, you should wash and dry your swatch as you will your finished piece. So otherwise you're getting an inaccurate representation of how the sweater or whatever you're making is going to be when it's actually laundered and, you know, in your regular life. So I sometimes was finding that when I was making t-shirts out of jersey fabric, I would iron the fabric all nice and it would be flat and perfect, and I would cut out my pieces and I would sew up my shirt, and then I would wash it once, and even though I had pre-washed the fabric, so any shrinking should have happened already, I was finding that the pieces were coming out smaller than I wanted them to. And it was the right size and everything, but I mean, there is a difference with how big a piece of ironed jersey and laundered ironed jersey and laundered non-ironed jersey is. And so for me, it makes most sense to cut it out when it's not ironed, so that this is like an accurate size of what this fabric will be like right when it comes out of the dryer, which is how it will be when I wear it. I hope that makes sense. But for like this flannel fabric that I'm going to use for my Carolyn pajamas, I think I will go ahead and press this probably. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, especially because I'll be making one size up. It's going to be okay if I'm not going to press these pajamas when I wear them, so it's going to be okay if they shrink a little bit. Yeah, they're not actually going to shrink, but do you know what I mean? They're going to be a little bit smaller maybe when they come right out of the dryer. So let's go ahead and stop talking now and get on to cutting out the Lowland Kid hoodie. Free pattern, it's a good one. I'm gonna remember to make the modifications of lengthening the body a little bit, and I'm not gonna cut out a pocket. Cutting out these pajama pants. I was just reading a little quick review online on the Carolyn pajamas, and someone said that they next time we size up, so I'm glad that I did that because I'm also kind of remembering my last pair is feeling like a little bit snug, not in an uncomfortable way, just not in a casual pajama pants, I want to lounge around kind of way. So I'm happy that I'm sizing up. The other thing that they mentioned was wanting to increase the height of the rise in the, especially at the back of the pants. So I think the pajama pants were made probably, I don't know when the pattern was published, but quite a few years ago, and my guess is that it was more in a time when lower waisted pants were more the style. And I have definitely gotten used to wearing higher waisted pants myself. And I also recall that the Carolyn pajamas have a rather lower waist than what I would prefer. Which is maybe why I don't wear the ones that I have right now. Anymore, but also because I think they're just a little too small. So, conclusion is I'm happy that I'm sizing up, and I decided to go ahead and add an 1.5 inch height increase to the rise at the front and the back, so that, yeah, it will just raise up the waistband a little bit. It's a really simple modification to do, and I've done it here. I'll just mark, do I want to mark that? Gotta make a little mark here. The front crotch. I'm marking that with a regular pen, which is a little bit risky, but here we go. You might also see that I've added 4 3/4 inches of length here because I did check, and this pattern piece that I had was for the piped version with the cuff, and I don't want to do that. So I have omitted that. Or yeah, I'm making view A. I've added an 1.5 inch to the rise. This is the front piece, so I just sliced off here the piece, sliced the piece in two at the front, center front here, like above the crotch part. Chopped that, added an 1.5 inches of extra paper, and then I've also gone ahead and added the triangle back here where the pocket would otherwise be. So usually the pattern piece is like this, but I've added that triangle back in because I don't want to have pockets in the front of these pajamas. Also, a little bit of a controversial sewing opinion, I guess, maybe. I don't love pockets in everything. I know a lot of people are all about pockets and they're like, woohoo, this dress has pockets and this is so exciting, this has pockets. I'm just not a true lover of pockets in all things. I think pockets have a time and a place, and for me, flannel pajamas, front pocket is just gonna add too much bulk. I do think that I will be adding a back pocket, like a patch pocket on the back, because that will be very convenient for my phone. Which, let's be honest, I do walk around with my phone in my pocket, even in my pajamas. So normally I cut things out on the fold so that I only have to cut them out once, but because this has such an intense pattern, I want to be a little bit careful about the pattern placement. I'm not going to be doing pattern matching because honestly, for me, for a pair of pajama pants, it doesn't feel worth the effort that I know that it will take. And I really don't care that much, to be perfectly honest. But I do want to be a little bit mindful of where the pattern is happening. So I'm going to use this first piece. This is the front piece that I've cut out. And I'm going to use this piece as my second pattern piece to place on top of the fabric so that I'll hopefully be able to see through a little bit. I don't know if I'll really be able to see through it, but I'll be able to tell where the pattern is so that I can kind of get a good overall flow of the pattern across both of the front legs. Like, I don't want, for example, like this big orange spot to be like exactly in the same place on the other leg or like just off, because I think that is when it's going to be kind of weird and noticeable. So I'd like to kind of try to maintain like a good flow of the pattern across the front pieces and the back pieces as well. So that's why I'm only cutting it out one piece at a time, and hopefully that will work. So no pockets, it's just going to be a simple front part, no pockets on the front, but I will go ahead and cut out patch pockets for the back because I think that will be a good compromise. We are kind of coming to the end of the light for the day. So I was just talking about the pajama pants, but I forgot to come back and say that I have managed to cut out the Lowland Kids hoodie for Eloise, and I actually have a lot of this fabric left. Unfortunately, I don't have very much of the cuffing, like the ribbing part left, which I think I might have underestimated how much I needed. Hopefully it will be okay for the other sets that I'm going to be making, but I definitely underestimated a little bit. I think I didn't take into consideration, like I knew it was tubular, but I didn't kind of take into consideration how much that reduces the width of how much fabric you have to work with. So I probably should have gotten more of that, but I definitely have enough for her sweatshirt. I have enough of the main fabric left to cut something else out, like maybe a sweatshirt for Nora, but I don't know that I have enough of the binding, or like the ribbing, is what I mean. So I'll have to see. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to keep going. This is project number 3 cut out. If you consider, yeah, it's project number 3 cut out. I have the I Am Mowgli pants for myself and the Lowland Kid adult baggy V t-shirt cut out in the gold honey fabric, and then the Lowland Kids. And so now Lowland Kids hoodie. Now I'm gonna finish cutting out the pajama pants, and I think that's gonna take us right up into the end of today. So we'll see when I'm able to come back, hopefully tomorrow. Okay, it's first thing in the morning today. Well, not first thing, I've already dropped off the girls at school, and I'm going to change my Serger thread to this gold. I could only find 3 spools. This one's close enough though. I don't always have matching Serger thread, but here are the projects I managed to cut out yesterday. So I did the flannel pajama pants for myself, the I Am Mowgli sweatpants in the jersey fabric, the baggy tee, and the sweatshirt for Eloise. So this morning I'm going to go ahead and sew up the pants first, probably the shirt too while I have the Serger thread in the right color, and then I'll be able to test the fit on those and see if I need to make any modifications before cutting out the other fabrics. I always use iBooks on my phone for knitting patterns and sewing patterns, so I just open the PDF instructions there, and that works really well for me. So let's get going. Okay, I really did as much as I possibly could today in terms of cutting out, and I got through almost everything with the exception of Thomas's sweatpants and sweatshirt and the chambray pajama pants. So, and I cut out a few extra things as well. So I'll just go through them real quick here. I cut out a pair of leggings for Linnea in this sand jersey color, size 18 to 24 months. And this is a French terry, really nice print from Tigre. And this is also the same size leggings for Linnea. I cut out 2 pairs of size 5, except for like a little bit widened at the hip underwear from Lowland Kids for Eloise. Those are the leg bindings and the crotch part for those. And everything's a little bit linty, but I also cut out a black t-shirt long sleeve for her as well. And then we get into my things. So I cut out a Nico top for myself, long sleeve, crew neck hack in this soft lilac cotton jersey, size 10, which I'm hoping will be a little bit on the bigger side for me. Usually I make size 8, but sometimes the cotton jersey ones shrink a little bit more and then they feel too tight. So this will either be pajamas to go with these, or will just be a shirt that I wear. I decided to go for the I Am Rainbow sweatshirt, and I'm going to do the zippered version. I'm going to have to shorten this zipper, but it's a opening zipper and it matches perfectly, so I felt like it was a sign I have to do the zipper one. I have the matching cuffing here, and it's going to be the hooded version, so that sweatshirt will be for me. And then we have the I Am Mowgli pants in the soft lilac, and this time I have the pockets both for the front pockets and the back pockets. And then finally the I Am Mowgli pants in the sweatshirting, and you can see this color is a little bit different. This is just some scrap jersey fabric that I have that I'm using for the pocket bag so that it's not quite as bulky. With the sweatshirting fabric, I thought it was going to be getting a little bit thick, so I went for a different color for that, or just a different fabric, thinner jersey, which you won't really see because it will be on the inside. And then I did cut out a waistband both in the ribbing and in the sweatshirting, just because I'm not sure if this is going to be too thick in the sweatshirting. I'll do it in the ribbing, and since I had some leftover of ribbing, I thought I might as well cut them out now. Wasn't really enough left over to save or do anything else with, so I might as well cut it out now and then have the option to switch to that easily if I need to. So really happy with the projects that I got cut out today, but it will be a couple more days until I'm able to do any sewing, so they will sit here for a little while in a nice stack, but that will be waiting for me with, yeah, this sweatshirt for Louise also needs to be sewn up. And then these are still 2 pairs of jeans, which are waiting, one for Thomas and one for me, which are waiting to be sewn. But I made a really, I'm so happy with this. So this was my brother-in-law. He had a wool sweatshirt, or wool sweater, sorry, that was really just destroyed in the armpits and on the sleeves, but I made him 2 little, like, kind of fisherman style, I would say, caps, which he wears all the time, and I used the tag from the inside part of the sweater for one of them. I think those turned out super nice, so I'll give those to him for Christmas. I think this video is a pretty good example of how a lot of sewing is not actually sewing. It takes a lot of prep work for getting the patterns ready, getting the fabric ready and cut out before you're actually doing the sewing part. And then even after you sew it, sometimes you have to make adjustments to your pieces before they fit well. And anyway, I'm feeling like this video is getting away from me a little bit and it's getting very long. So I wanted to give you a little update on some actual finished projects and what I still need to do from here on. The I Am Mowgli pants, you might have seen I had a clip in front of my closets in my bedroom, and that was before I made any alterations. And there was a lot of fabric in the front crotch. And so I think I was able to adjust it a little bit in the second video where it was over by my desk area. I was able to like cut out some fabric from the crotch area, and that improved the fit significantly. But I have been wearing these pajama pants the last 2 nights, and I think that they're just too high in the rise. So I think there's still excess fabric in the crotch that I need to take out on the next pair. And I need to lower the waistband a little bit because they're just too high. I don't really know. I think maybe I chose one size too big, but I don't know. They're just like not fitting exactly how I want to, which is kind of a bummer because I already cut out the sweatshirting fabric. But so those are finished. I also have the baggy v-neck tee here finished, and I'll pop that on. Really not my color, not feeling it, but they're really comfortable to wear, so I'm considering either just dealing with it and saying like they're pajamas, who cares, or I am actually considering dyeing the fabric. So we'll see what I end up doing, but for now they'll just live like that. I mean, it is a pretty color, but it's just not a color that I want to have all over myself. So the other project that I'm actually really happy with finishing is the pajama pants, and I made these for Thomas in the end. He has not tried them on or seen them. I did do a little embroidery here, not embroidery, but a little monogram. It says TM with a little heart, and it's Thomas's initials. I really enjoyed working with this fabric. It's a cotton chambray fabric that has like a good amount of structure and weight to it. Like, it's not really heavy, but it's also not floaty or flimsy at all. Like, it's very substantial, and I think will make really nice pajama pants. So I'm excited for him to open these up on Christmas, and those are all ready to be wrapped and given to him. My pajama pants are less finished. You'll remember these ones that I've been working on, the Carolyn pajamas, and I have had to do some serious unpicking. 1.5 inches was too much to increase the rise by, so I did that, and then I sewed on the waistband and put in the elastic and was just like, no way. Same sort of thing, like a lot of excess fabric in the crotch. So in this case, I just decided to trim off the top, which worked okay, but it does mean that the pocket is quite a bit closer to the waistband than I would have liked, but I didn't feel like unpicking the pockets too. So these are all the way sewn. I'm pretty happy with the placement of the pattern. Like, it's okay. I don't know how it could be better, but I think it worked out. I need to put in an elastic waistband, but I'm waiting for some elastic in the right width in white to arrive, which should be happening today or tomorrow, because I only have black in that width, and you can really see it through this fabric. And I have a couple other projects that are light colored that need white elastic. So what I did manage to finish so far is 3 projects for Eloise, which I'm really happy with. I made her a black long sleeve t-shirt. She's enjoying wearing black lately, and I had these little iron-on transfers, and I just put a little mushroom one at the back neck so she can easily see where the back is, because right now I don't have a tag in there for her. I also do have some iron-on tags that I do often put into their clothing, but I just thought the mushroom was cute. The other one that I finished for her is the Lowland Kids hoodie, and it's all done. So you can see that the ribbing on this one isn't a perfect match to the fabric itself, but it's the same. It's actually coming off quite a bit more contrasty in the image. It's the same color purple, it's just that the sweatshirting is a little bit slightly lighter than the ribbing, or I would say the ribbing is like just a little bit more rich, but it's the same color tone. And I decided to cover stitch all of the seams, so you can maybe see, maybe not. You see there that that seam has a row of double stitching over it. That's nothing in the pattern, it's not necessary at all, but I already had thread in my cover stitch for the hood binding, and I had already cover stitched the hood seam also, which also is not in the pattern. So I just decided that I liked the look of that and I was going to do that for all the seams. I like this hood pattern because it's free, and also because it has this little crossover neck part as one of the options. The other option is a Henley, but this little crossover neck, it's just a really nice pattern for kids because the neck isn't constricting at all and it's really easy to get over their head. It's a wide neck opening, but with the little crossover part, it doesn't feel like it's open super wide. So I think it's just a really good, it's a good fit, and it's a bonus that it's free. I made this size 6, I think, and I extended the length of the body, and I did not put in the kangaroo pocket that's there usually, but Eloise said she wanted the sweatshirt to be a little bit longer, and so that's what I did. She hasn't tried it on yet because it's going to be a gift for her. I have a little bit of sweatshirting fabric hopefully coming in the mail with my elastic, and if I get that and I'm able to cut out and sew a sweatshirt for Nora, then I will probably gift those to the girls for Christmas. Otherwise, I will give Eloise this hoodie for her birthday. The last thing that I made for Eloise is a pair of underwear. And I also used a little transfer here on the front. It's just a little iron-on transfer. And this is the unders pattern from Lowland Kids, and it's just it's a good pattern. I use this pattern for all of their underwear, fits well, and I use my binding method, which I have in my merino fabrics video, if you want to know how I do that binding. I should probably do a separate video on that too. So what I need to finish doing today is to cut out Thomas's sweatpants and sweatshirt, and I am going to do that now while he is gone. I'm hoping that I have enough time to get it cut out, because once it's all cut out, I don't think that he's going to notice so much when I'm sewing it that it could be something for him, but while I'm cutting it out, like, it's pretty big, and I think he might get suspicious that it could be for something for him. Something super excited that just happened is that I printed some labels, and I printed this on fabric using my laser printer, which is so exciting. I just kind of like roughly put together some label ideas on my computer, tried out a couple different fonts and such. This is just a muslin fabric that I have bonded to a piece of freezer paper, which, like, who knew that that was a thing? Freezer paper is not available in Sweden as far as I'm aware. I did buy this in Sweden from a shop that's selling it as, yeah, it's sewing, it's a craft supply. So anyway, it has like a little bit of a plasticky side on one side and a papery side on the other, and you bond this freezer paper to fabric by just ironing it on. And then you put the fabric in your printer just like paper. Look, how cool is that? Oh, I'm so excited. So I'm going to cut these out, see if I want to include a little label on Thomas's set. it would have been nice to have them on his pajama pants. I guess I could still add that to the back. I might, but I might not. I think I'm not going to. I'm just gonna wrap those up and be done with them. But how fun is this? Because I feel like I'm always wanting to change my logo a little bit, and this way I can do it and I can like customize everything. I'm so excited. Okay, so that's all for now. I'm going to go sew or cut first and then sew, and then I don't know, maybe I'm just gonna be coming back with a few little clips of some finished garments because we're really cutting it close. It is December 17th today, and I have some intense work days coming up in the shop, so I'm not necessarily going to be available or around to be yeah, videoing. Also, my children are going to be home from school, so this might be it. But I'll definitely come back with some video clips of how everything turned out, and I'll otherwise see you in the next one. Okay, change of plans. I have to go pick up Eloise from school. So I am not going to be able to cut out the fabric now, but I did paste together the pattern for the pants for Thomas, and I measured his other pair of sweatpants that he has that fit well and I know are a good length and everything like that, so I could get an idea of any modifications that I'll need to make to the pattern directly, because I'm not going to have him try them on before I finish them. So I'm going to plan on sewing them from start to finish as is, and if they don't fit, then hopefully they'll fit somebody else. But the pattern is drafted for someone who is 5 feet 9 inches. Thomas is 6 feet 1 inch. So I did increase the length of the pants by 4 inches, and that also tracked with the length of his pants that I measured too. I measured both the inseam and the outside seam of those pants to get a better feeling for them. And I think that the rise of the Mowgli pants is too high. Maybe it's just the style of these pants, but given that I made them for myself and felt like I had too much fabric at the front crotch and that the waist was quite high, I decided to err on the safe side and compared the crotch length of his pants I know fit him to this pattern piece, and I am lowering or reducing the rise of the crotch by a full inch just directly, and hopefully that will be enough. So I have 10 more minutes before I need to go get Eloise, and I'm going to cut right into the pattern rather than tracing, which I might regret later, but this is one that I can at least print out again if I do regret that. So okay, I had every intention of coming back on here and sharing all of the things that I finished sewing from my initial plans video, but it didn't happen. Christmas happened, New Year's happened, we were sick the entire time, and I haven't had a moment to film until now. I just finished filming my everything I knit in 2025, but I thought I would take the opportunity to wrap up this video and wish you a happy new year and a lot of good sewing vibes for the new year. And I'll just share with you 2 projects here that I finished. This is a Nico top with the crew neck hack in just the cotton jersey, a soft lilac, and this ended up being a really good happy accident that this pairs super nicely with the Carolyn pajamas that I made, and I made them without the front pockets. I do regret that a little bit. I'm really glad that I added patch pockets to the back. And this flannel fabric I was worried might be a little bit too stiff or too warm to wear as pajamas, and I thought I might be wearing it more as like loungewear, but they're really comfortable to wear at night as pajamas. And Eloise has requested a pair of her own that I think I'll be able to make very easily with this little girls pattern that I have, because I have leftover fabric from this project, so that'll be perfect. And the baggy V neck that I made is also kind of that golden honey color, matches well with these pajama pants too. So not that I usually have matching pajamas, but this worked out really well. So I hope you enjoyed this a little bit scattered video, and please do come back and join me for the next one, which will hopefully have a little bit more continuity throughout the video.